Did you know that 45% of HubSpot implementations fail to achieve their objectives? Do you know why? One key reason is because of a lack of effective change management, which led to resistance and low adoption of the software. My name is Obi Iradion, and I am a senior change management consultant. In this video, I will show you the exact methodology that I used at organizations like Apple, Microsoft, Yale University, HSBC, and other organizations to drive real adoption, reduce resistance, and increase change successes for a wide range of technology implementation, including HubSpot. And if you need change management help, partnership, or have questions, you can contact me directly. Here are three key outcomes for you today. So please, you can take notes or you can always pause this video to take screenshots. Outcome number one is to equip you with the latest change management methodology for HubSpot implementation. Two, to provide you and empower you with actionable insights and best practices that increase my own successes in delivering change management for HubSpot adoption and rollout. And then outcome number three is to prepare you with how-to knowledge for delivering change management to help increase adoption for HubSpot implementation. Are you ready? All right. Let's hit the ground running. Here is the portfolio of best change management deliverables that you will want to consider delivering to help adoption for HubSpot implementation within an organization. I will go into details shortly, but for now, here's the high level. This toolkit involves conducting change assessments, delivering communications, putting together and implementing change strategies and plans for the HubSpot implementation, engaging with leaders, coaching and training champions and impacted users, and tracking change successes for the HubSpot implementation. That's the high level of everything we are going to be spending the next 20 to 30 minutes discussing. To increase your success, you will want to apply this four-phase change management approach, which is best for HubSpot rollout and raising adoption. You want to start by assessing readiness for the HubSpot rollout. And then you go into design, where you build your change strategy as well as your detailed plans and the respective materials and assets for delivering change management for your HubSpot implementation. The third phase is where we implement the change deliverables and track adoption. And then finally, we sustain and reinforce the change, embedding new behaviors into day-to-day operations. Each phase is time-bound and scalable. What does this mean? It means we can apply this model for a small pilot, or we can expand it enterprise-wide with the same four-phase structured cadence. Let us quickly go over the change management deliverables for phase one. There are 6 change readiness assessments that we normally do to really understand how ready an organization is for HubSpot implementation. Think of these 6 assessments as your early diagnostic. Imagine taking your car to a mechanic shop. The mechanic normally does assessments to identify what the issues are before they start fixing your car. This is similar to what you will be doing for your change readiness to prepare for the HubSpot implementation and rollout. The findings from your 6 readiness assessments will tell you exactly where to focus your entire change transformation efforts for the HubSpot implementation. Let us now double click into each of these assessments. Assessment 1 is to conduct a current state and cultural assessment. You really want to understand the organization's culture, leadership alignment, and change maturity. Basically, you want to answer this question. Is the culture of the impacted groups ready to accept, embrace, and adopt a data-driven transformational HubSpot implementation? So you can do focus groups. You can also do interviews with selected individuals within each impacted department to understand their culture and receptiveness to change. The second assessment is a change impact assessment for the HubSpot rollout. You really want to understand what is changing, who is impacted, and the level of impact by function or role. Take a look at my screen. You will see a template for conducting change impact assessment for HubSpot implementation. You will notice we have division and department. Those are the impacted groups, the level of impact, number of impacted staff, what the current state is, as well as what the future state is. And most importantly, what does change management need to do for each of these changes? For example, would there be a need for detailed training? You want to capture all of that information when populating this template. This is one of many templates that I am going to be giving to you for free today. If you stay to the end of this video, I will show you how to get access to our library of free resources that includes between 20 to 50 free change management and project management templates, including the one that you are looking at on my screen. The next assessment is to identify resistance that may derail the HubSpot implementation. For this one, you also want to use the free resistance management template that I am sharing on my screen. Capture first name or group name, resistance level, ability to impact or derail the HubSpot rollout, and also what kind of task will be needed to mitigate the identified resistance to HubSpot. This is another free template you can use for your HubSpot implementation. You also want to map your stakeholders. Stakeholder mapping for HubSpot implementation ensures that everyone who will be impacted by the HubSpot rollout is identified and engaged appropriately. You want to enter the type of stakeholder, their first name. You can also have first name or last name, their group, their interest level. Is there a high level of interest, meaning receptiveness, or is there a low level of interest? You want to capture that. Their ability to influence or impact the HubSpot rollout, you also want to capture that. Now, here on my screen, the list of top 10 groups within your organization, as well as outside the organization, that are often impacted by HubSpot rollout: sales, marketing, customer service, IT and systems admins, finance, operations, human resources and training, leadership and executives, regional managers, as well as external partners or vendors. Make sure you consider these groups when doing your change impact assessment for your HubSpot implementation. You also want to conduct enablement needs assessments. Different departments and groups might have different preferences for how they want to receive change management. And so, interview selected individuals within the impacted groups to gather their preferences. This is very important for you to keep in mind. When doing your interview, you want to gather how each group prefers to receive communications, how they prefer to receive training, how they prefer to receive briefing, how often they like to receive communication or training. All of this information will help you to better determine how to develop the right change management channels to enable impacted groups for your HubSpot rollout. You also want to deliver a readiness survey to help you measure baseline awareness, desire to support the HubSpot rollout, knowledge, and also confidence about using HubSpot. At the end of this video, I will also show you how to get access to a free downloadable readiness assessment survey for you to use for your HubSpot implementation. Before we dive into phase two, if you need help delivering change management for any project, including HubSpot implementation, do reach out to me. See the link below. Phase two is the design and develop phase for your HubSpot implementation. In this change management phase, you will want to focus on designing your change strategies and developing the key deliverables and change management materials and toolkits that will guide your change management HubSpot rollout implementation. Now, in regards to the strategies, there are 7 strategies which I am sharing on my screen that cover all angles, from communication and engagement to resistance management and training for your HubSpot implementation. There is a strategic playbook that I have used to successfully increase my change management successes, and I will give you that for free. I have added this template, this playbook template, to our library of free resources. But let me show you what it looks like. When you get into the strategic playbook template, which is in PowerPoint, you will see this cover slide, which is the first slide. You click and then you get to this strategic playbook overview slide. And this slide provides a quick summary of the recommended strategies that you want to consider to help increase change adoption for any project that you might be implementing. As we go through this strategic playbook, I will highlight some key information that you need to know. The first one is when you access and you are using this template playbook, you want to ensure that you include impacted audience. Which groups or personas or job roles will be impacted by your project? You also want to include the level or the severity of impact and ensure that you socialize this slide with stakeholders and also leadership. Your communication strategies, you can leverage the ones that we currently have here on the template, but we recommend that you implement a hybrid communication approach that involves a top-down and a bottom-up approach. What exactly is this? With the top-down, and here is a visual representation, with the top-down, the change and program team are providing communications to leaders and managers and asking them to cascade those communications to end users. For the bottom up, it starts from the bottom. The change and the program team, including the champions, are sending up communications to everyone. That's a bottom up. And so your approach is to use both of them, which is why we call it a hybrid approach. It is very effective to increase change management successes. Within the playbook, you will notice we have also included the channels that you can use to communicate out your change project. This is a template, meaning you have to take this and make changes to it to ensure it matches your project and also your organization. Another strategy included here is the engagement strategy. And here you would notice we propose you do a two-way communication and engagement approach. What is the difference between communication and engagement? Well, engagement really is the interactive component of communicating a change. It involves doing briefings, conducting meetings, doing roadshows, giving people the opportunity to ask questions in real time. So you want to include what we are looking at here on this slide as part of your engagement strategies. And here we are actually providing visual views of the different channels you will want to consider using as part of your strategies for engaging impacted users. So there is a kickoff event, there are roadshows, town halls, focus meetings, and you also have interactive workshops, conduct focus groups, feedback sessions, engage your champions with regular meetings, conduct drop-in support calls, do virtual Q&A sessions, and also have stakeholder roundtables. Now, obviously, it might not be possible for you to do every single one of these, which is fine. The goal is we are presenting you with a portfolio of options. It is up to you to determine which one or two or three or four you have the bandwidth and the capability to implement. Another strategy included here is how to mitigate resistance. You want to apply a proactive and a reactive approach. A proactive approach is identifying where resistance will come from and then developing the plans to ensure it doesn't come up. Reactive is when you identify resistance and then you have to mitigate that. This strategic playbook also includes strategies for engaging with leaders and also sponsors. And you can see here, we have included respective activity types, cadence, how often, and also the purpose. And then there is also strategies for your change champion network, as well as strategies for your training deliverables. Here we've included different strategies to help increase your success. Now, once again, that was a quick overview of the strategic playbook, which is free. And the goal is you take this template and you customize it to match your purpose, your project, and your organization. After finalizing your change management strategies for your HubSpot implementation using the change management strategic playbook that I just went over, the next step is to translate strategies into actionable change management plans. Each of these plans, from communication and training to resistance management and adoption tracking, operationalizes a specific part of your overall strategy. Together, they ensure that the HubSpot implementation is not just planned, but executed in a structured, measurable way. The goal is consistency, accountability, and sustained adoption across the organization. When putting together these plans, here are what you need to consider. And you can pause this video and take a screenshot, or you can come back and review this section. But when building your change, impact, and readiness plan, you want to focus your step-by-step change management plan on how impacts will be addressed. When putting together your communication and engagement plan, your focus is how and when and who to communicate with. You also want to look at the focus that we have listed here when putting together your other plans. You also want to develop and socialize a holistic change roadmap that I am currently sharing on my screen that sequences communication, training, and reinforcement activities to align with the HubSpot project timeline. This is also another free resource that I will be providing to you at the end of this video for you to use. Here are the main communication assets you will want to develop to drive awareness and engagement during your HubSpot rollout. You will want to draft and send invites for kickoff sessions, for roadshows, for town halls, for onboarding, and also for training reminders. You will want to use emails for updates, get ready countdowns, and go live, as well as post go live announcements. You will also want to use newsletters to maintain momentum and to share success stories. To increase my successes when doing change management consulting for clients, I normally also do what is called tips and tricks, like short videos or quick use guides. These short videos could be 30 seconds long, 60 seconds long, 2 minutes, 5 minutes. But what they do is they help users see the value faster in using HubSpot. So I recommend that you do tips and tricks when implementing your change management communications for the HubSpot rollout. You also want to build materials for your champions. To increase your success, you will want to plan, launch, and implement a champion network to help increase adoption for the HubSpot implementation. So, as part of the design and develop phase, this is where you develop the materials that you are going to need to onboard and engage change champions. That includes the kickoff deck that you will be using. It also includes a change champion toolkit that includes communication drafts for champions to cascade, as well as other resources to help increase the success of champions. In addition, you should create leadership engagement materials to help leaders actively champion the HubSpot rollout. So develop resources like leadership engagement guides, playbooks, and use, if you take a look at the bottom right of my screen, you see where it says leader action roadmap. This is very simple for you to put together. It basically allows leaders to clarify what is expected of them before, during, and after go live. So you can take a screenshot of what you are looking at here and literally just develop the same thing in PowerPoint. You also want to develop role-based or persona-based learning materials, including videos, how-to guides, templates, FAQs, and job aids to help people gain knowledge of how to use HubSpot. You also want to provide or put together a centralized hub that can be in SharePoint, Teams, or some internal intranet where you will keep all your change management materials for the HubSpot implementation, as well as training resources and update material. Having a centralized place for people to go to increases adoption for HubSpot rollout. Before we go on, if you are finding value in this video, do give this video a like, as that helps me and also tells me you found this video useful. And you can also subscribe to be kept updated on useful content. All right, so now we move on to phase 3, which is the change management, implement, and manage adoption phase for the HubSpot rollout. This phase focuses on executing communication, engagement, training, and enablement to drive adoption. During this phase, you will deliver targeted communications through email, town halls, newsletters, videos, as well as the enablement website that we just discussed. Keep messages transparent and consistent. The goal is to make sure every audience gets the right information at the right time through the right channels to build excitement, readiness, and sustain adoption of HubSpot. Use this template on my screen for your communication plan. This is a HubSpot change management communication template. Include the communication audience, who should be getting communications. Include the type of communication it is. Is it an awareness about the HubSpot implementation? Is it a countdown or get ready communication for HubSpot? You can also include the frequency as well as priority. And then you want to include the delivery channel for delivering the communication. Who should deliver the communication? Include that too. You can also include the communication objectives. You also want to activate your change champions, right? So um, during the first phase of our change management discussion, we discuss doing your assessments. During the second phase, we discuss developing your strategies and materials. Now we are in the third phase, which is execution. This is where you launch and you also manage your change champion network. You want to conduct a kickoff session with champions to go over roles and responsibilities to get them excited and also explain to them what's in it for them. You also want to tell them how you are going to support them. Do all of these during your champion kickoff for the HubSpot rollout. In addition, you want to create a channel using Teams, Zoom, Slack, or any collaborative platform that your organization uses. Create a champion network channel and share information with the champions. Share tips and tricks. Share quick surveys with them. You also want to provide them with the champion toolkit as well as conduct regular office hours for champions to ask questions or to seek help. You also want to develop a leadership white glove session. This helps leaders understand the benefits of the HubSpot rollout and helps them model adoption. You can do a one-on-one session, or you can also do a small group session. The way I normally do it to increase my change management success is I send out an email to each leader where I let them know what we are planning to do. We are planning to schedule a meeting with them to help onboard them as leaders of change during this HubSpot implementation. You can take a screenshot of the sample email that I have on my screen, and you can actually leverage that for your purpose. Make sure you emphasize that you will be coordinating with the executive assistant of that leader to schedule the meeting. That way, they don't think you are expecting them to go look into their calendar and schedule a meeting for you. They don't have time for that. So it's best to go through the executive assistant. Here is something that is very important. Leaders play a critical role in driving change adoption for HubSpot implementation. During any HubSpot rollout, your mid and senior leaders become the bridge between the project team and employees. They act as communicators. We ask them to communicate. We ask them to share the vision. We ask them to explain to their direct reports why the change matters. We also ask them to be advocates, to show visible support through their own actions. We also ask them to act as liaisons, helping to ensure that they gather feedback and pass that over to the change management resource. We also ask them to coach their teams through the changes, as well as be resistance management. We ask them to help identify and address concerns early before they spread. There is often concerns when it comes to HubSpot implementation, and so we ask leaders to help us manage resistance. Now, when leaders actively step into these 5 roles, guess what? Adoption of HubSpot accelerates and resistance decreases, which is why it is absolutely important for you to coach and help the leader connect the dots on how the HubSpot will help each one of them personally. Here's what I normally do to help increase my success. when doing this white glove session with leaders, I normally go through at a high level what that exercise will entail. And then I help them really connect the dots by showing them what is called a day in the life of that particular leader. For our example, let us take Rob. Rob leads the sales department. When meeting with Rob, I let Rob know that I have done some preliminary research on what he does on a day to day basis. And then I say, hey, Rob, around 8 a.m., here's what I believe you do. And here is how HubSpot can help increase your productivity. If Rob has any questions, I address those questions. And then I click once to build the slide. And then we get to 9:30 and I say, hey, Rob, around 9:30, I understand that you normally analyze sales pipelines to identify deal flows. You normally do XYZ. Here is how HubSpot will help increase your productivity. And then I click once to build the slide. And I say, hey, Rob, I understand that around 11 o'clock, you normally prepare for weekly leadership meetings. Here is how HubSpot will help. And then I continue building until I get to the end of the day. This allows every single leader you provide this white glove session to really connect the dots and see how HubSpot can help them personally. You also want to deliver hands-on training as well as providing impacted users with the educational resources by pointing them to that centralized website that you've created. You can do virtual training sessions or you can do in-person training sessions. Remember what I said earlier at the beginning of this video when we discussed doing enablement needs assessments. When I said you want to gather preferences for how impacted groups would like to receive communications, would like to receive training, here is where you apply that knowledge. Groups that prefer virtual training, you want to deliver virtual training for the HubSpot implementation. Groups that prefer in-person training, you want to provide them with in-person training. Groups that prefer a combination of in-person and virtual, you want to provide that to them. The point here is this. You want to ensure that you are delivering change management the way people want to receive change management for the HubSpot implementation. This is where a lot of project managers and change managers fail. And so you want to ensure you avoid that mistake by making sure you are implementing change management based on how people prefer to receive change management. You also want to provide office hours to allow people to join a call or a meeting, and it could be 30 minutes or 60 minutes office hours every week or every other day for a period of time. Anyone can join that call and say, I need help, I have a question. When they have their questions answered, they can hop off the call. That is called office hours. In addition, you want to ensure you manage resistance proactively and reactively. Okay? And then you want to track change adoption metrics, like how many people are completing training, what kind of feedback are you getting. Most importantly, you want to access the HubSpot reporting dashboard to track how many people are logging in, what people are using, which objects within HubSpot they are going to, how often they are going there. Now you might say, well, I don't know if I have access. Well, you want to contact the project lead or IT, that is the admin for HubSpot, and you want to let them know, I am doing change management for this HubSpot implementation, and I would like you to give me access to the HubSpot reporting dashboard so that I can track adoption and usage. Now, before we move on to phase four, let us do a quick recap of phase three, which is the change management, implement, and manage adoption for HubSpot implementation. In this phase, the focus was all about execution and engagement. So we rolled out our communication plan to drive awareness and readiness for the HubSpot implementation. We launched and managed the Change Champion Network to help keep momentum strong at the grassroots level. We also delivered hands on training, which was either virtual, in person, or a combination of both. We also delivered briefing sessions to build confidence and capability across impacted groups. We provided white glove leadership onboarding and support, helping leaders connect the dots and see exactly how HubSpot will help them personally, which will lead them to better champion the HubSpot implementation. At the same time, we also managed resistance. We tracked and addressed concerns early, and we also measured adoption and success metrics. For phase four, we want to focus on sustaining and maintaining adoption of the new behaviors for using HubSpot. We also want to ensure that we embed the new habits into daily operations, which leads us to phase four, which is the sustain and reinforce phase for your HubSpot change management implementation. You want to start by maintaining your change network and feedback loops for the HubSpot rollout. You want to ensure you keep champions and leaders engaged through tips and tricks, as well as monthly or quarterly meetings, and also sharing success stories. You also want to ensure you continue the HubSpot change management office hours and user support to provide ongoing help and also, if needed, to refresh training. You also want to measure adoption during the sustain phase. So track usage, engagement, and sentiment to ensure adoption doesn't fall off over time. You want to capture and integrate lessons learned so future rollouts of HubSpot can benefit from this experience. But it is not just future rollouts of HubSpot. It is any other change management project that is being implemented in the future. You can leverage the lessons learned. You also want to reinforce and recognize adoption by celebrating success stories, highlighting top users, and showing impact. What I normally do that has been very successful is when doing change management consulting, I put together specific email communications that recognize top users of HubSpot or other systems. And then I give that emails to leadership and I say, can you send this email to your organization to recognize these 5 or 10 or 15 or 20 individuals? What this does is it makes the people that are being recognized feel good and also even more motivated to continue to use HubSpot. What about the people that are not recognized? Well, it gives them the incentive to use HubSpot more. That way, they can be recognized in the future. You also want to ensure that you embed change into business as usual operations. How do you do this? You want to review existing policies and procedure job aids to make updates to them to ensure that they reflect the HubSpot integration as well as HubSpot usage. You want to do this during training as these job aids and workflows and policies will be used to help support your training implementation. However, you normally also have to do this as a way to finalize embedding change into business as usual operation. You want to go back and ensure that all policies have been updated, workflows have been updated, and that key measures are in place to ensure that the new way of using HubSpot is becomes the standard, not the exception. Let us quickly go over the end-to-end methodology. Here is a summary of the methodology. So we started out with doing a readiness assessment to really understand how ready the impacted groups are. And then we went over to design and develop, where we developed the strategies, the change management plans, and also the assets and materials for rolling out change management for the HubSpot implementation. We then went into the implement phase where we launched the champion network, we executed communications, we did training, we did leadership onboarding, we also managed resistance. And then finally, we reinforced the change and also ensured that the change was sustained. So you can take a screenshot of this to ensure that you can leverage this 4-phase change management approach to increase your success. I also encourage that you share this with your leadership, with your stakeholders, with your sponsors as a best practice methodology for delivering change management for HubSpot. You will get a question. Here's the question. Your leaders will say, well, how long is this going to take? On average, it can take anywhere between 3 to 12 months to deliver end to end. The timeline it takes for any particular HubSpot project will depend on the scope, the scale, the readiness availability, and other readiness assessment findings for that project. This timeline can be more or less for each project. Now, here is something else to emphasize to your leadership or your stakeholders when you go over the 4-phase methodology as well as the timeline. You want to let them know that this 3 to 12 months, more or less, timeline is really just looking at the people side of change. So the time that IT and the program and project teams will need to plan out and design any configurations to integrate HubSpot to the organization as well as to all the systems within the organization. The time it would take them to develop those configurations and test those configurations, none of that is part of your 3 to 12 month timeline. You want to ensure that you clarify this with all stakeholders. That way they don't hold your feet to the fire when things are taking much longer, and then they come back and say, well, you told us it was only going to take 3 to 12 months. Now wait, before you go, come back. Let us go over 2 quick questions that people ask all the time. Your leadership, your stakeholders, and your team members might also be asking this question because they don't really know much about change management for HubSpot or why it is important. First question is, what is change management for HubSpot implementation? Organizational change management for HubSpot implementation involves applying a structured, repeatable approach that guides how the organization will prepare, manage, and reinforce change, the people side of change, for the HubSpot implementation. Change management for HubSpot involves and helps people, especially impacted people, as well as stakeholders, to accept, embrace, and adopt the new HubSpot solution. Question number 2 is, why is it important for you to do a change readiness assessment? A change readiness assessment is critical in HubSpot projects because it helps organizations identify strengths, risk, and readiness for the adoption. It provides insight into cultural alignment, change saturation, readiness, leadership support, and training needs. It influences the success of HubSpot initiatives. And as I said earlier, if you need a top change management consultant to help you implement your HubSpot implementation or any other project, don't hesitate to reach out to me. See the link below. You will also find links to our library of free change management templates that you can use for your HubSpot implementation. You will also find the link to the readiness survey for you to use multiple times throughout the HubSpot rollout. You will also find the link to the detailed step-by-step guide that contains everything that I have said today and more. And don't forget to like this video, as that lets me know that you have received value from it. You can also subscribe to the channel so you don't miss great content like this one.